Live. Today I'm here with Jason Cavness. Jason, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Jason is in Seattle, right?
Yes.
And I am in Brooklyn. And so it's morning where you are and it's noon where I am. And if you're watching, if you're tuning in, or even if you're watching afterward, let us know where you're watching from. I love to see where folks are joining us from. And also tell us how you take your coffee. That's also something that's really important to me and really important on this show. Though, of course, if you don't drink coffee, let us know how you start your day. Morning routines are really important. So we do see the chat, so feel free to jump in. And if you have any questions at any point, please put them in the chat and we will be answering them live. All right. So Jason, welcome. Tell me, how do you take your coffee? And if you don't drink coffee, how do you start your day?
Yes, I am a coffee addict, so I do drink coffee. So when I'm at home, I drink it black. When I go out, I do cream and sugar. So I don't know if it's a matter of me being lazy at home and not wanting to put it in myself. But so at home it's black, and when I go out like Starbucks or coffee shops, I get cream and sugars. So yeah, kind of different.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, it's I find that Starbucks is a little too bitter for me. So if I do have Starbucks, I put all kinds of stuff in it. You know, like I'll get like a latte with some flavoring and stuff like that. Welcome, Sierra. Sierra's from Atlanta. Thanks for joining us. Coffee and yoga are my morning rituals. That's awesome. That is so awesome. I feel like I wish I got up early enough to think about yoga before work. But that's great. So how do you start your day, Jason?
So like I know they say you're supposed to start your day like meditating or doing something yoga or something spiritual. I do my best. Like I try to get up and stretch out and do some push-ups and sit-ups, maybe do a run, but lately it's just to get up and hit the email, right? I mean, I know that's not the right answer, but it's just what I've been doing,
Yeah. It's
unfortunately.
I mean, same. What we're supposed to do is and as entrepreneurs, we kind of get into our routines, especially in the pandemic. I mean, it's so tempting to click email the minute we get up, which I also
you might miss something. Somebody put my email to you, but of course, 99 times out of 100 is not important. Something to wait, but then I'm here already. That's me start work.
Right. So
and before you know it's like 9 in the morning, and you're like,
Yeah, exactly. And it's 9 a.m. where you are now, so you just started today. So thanks for being here. So Jason is the founder and CEO of Cavness HR. He's also a retired U.S. Army officer with an INFJ and an INFJ HR professional, and I love that because I am an INFJ also. And he's transforming how HR is delivered to companies with 49 or fewer people. So he specializes in small businesses. So if you're a small business owner, you're going to want to hear this. And he's also the host of the Jason Cavness Experience. Welcome. I'm so excited to talk to you today. So tell us what has changed about your work since the pandemic, if anything?
So actually, not much has changed. I mean, we're always going to be remote, so that didn't change. What changed for us is the timing, right? Because when the pandemic hit, we were supposed to go all in on fundraising and customers. Of course, we delayed that a little bit, right? Because of COVID-19 and the pandemic. And we're thinking about the pandemic, like I don't think people realize it hit everyone, right? So everyone's at a disadvantage. So I don't really give anyone an advantage right now. Of course, your company like your anti-remote or anti-tech, stuff like that is a disadvantage, right? But if you're already doing Zoom meetings and have remote stuff going on, to me it's just day-to-day business, right? But it's just I think the way you look at it, right? Disadvantages or advantages, right?
Yeah, exactly. So were you remote before the pandemic?
Yeah, our plan is always to be remote. That's the plan, right? I mean, because me, like for example, I'm in Seattle right now. To me, it makes no sense just to recruit from Seattle, right? Look at all the talent I've been missing from Brooklyn or Dallas or Memphis, Tennessee, right? And plus, for remote, your people, you get to save money on, resources and all that kind of stuff too, right? It just makes sense. But of course, then again, like I tell people, remote work is not for everyone. Like, if you're the type of person that you need someone to tell you what to do every 5 minutes, or you need like reassurance, or like, hey, you're doing a great job, it's probably not for you, right?
Right. That's great. So, as a fellow INFJ, And if for those of you watching, we have Sonia from Texas and Brian who loves truck stop coffee, which I think is amazing. So I'd love to know what your Myers Briggs personality types are, if you know them, or if that's something you you are have done, or if you're interested in. Jason, I'm interested in how being an INFJ has helped you in your business.
Oh man, that's a great question. So one thing I had to learn about this is just like I like to say I'm introvert, right? But what's kind of funny is like I hope this doesn't come wrong, but when I hate small talk, right? Like I hate like do I care how your day's going? I do, but then I don't, right? Like do I care what your football team doing? I do, I don't, right? So I like have like deeper connections. What I help like I think it really helps out the business, right? It makes you know I'm caring about you. I care about the business owner. And another thing too, I think is kind of people think it's funny is like I really like networking and all this kind of stuff. So I'll track a little bit. So we're networking, right? If there's an event that starts at 7 p.m., pre-COVID days, of course, I get there at 7:15 p.m. It's a waste of my time, right? Because I'm not going to go around talking to people. Everyone's going to click, I just feel it's rude to interrupt people, right? So what I do, I get there at 6:45 p.m., 50 minutes early, and when people come in, I introduce myself to them then. But another thing that's odd about, at least for myself, like I actually like talking in front of people. I like giving speeches. I like talking in front of crowds, right? So I love that, right? Like I love to be in like a Starbucks or a coffee shop or whatever and look at people. But as far as interacting, yeah, maybe not too much, right? Unless I really know you.
It's funny because you say that, and I have the same thing. So like if I'm on stage, I'm fine because I'm not. I'm not sort of in the room with people, right? If you're on stage, you have that separation. So I have the same. It's so funny. Those personality types are so true. That's great. So tell me, has this time been what has your business looked like these days?
So mainly we're doing a lot of we're in the fundraising phase, trying to get customer acquisition, a lot of pitches, fundraising. So let's talk about pitches. I don't know if anyone who knows who Devin Missler is, right? He's like a big time coach. He advises Gary Vaynerchuk. He does that kind of stuff. So I did a pitch competition with him 2 months ago. I finished second, and I was able to leverage that to now he's on my board of advisors.
Wow.
So just doing stuff like that, and then like on my podcast, I tell people as entrepreneur, you got to put yourself out there, right? You always got to. So, do podcasts like this, put yourself out there. But I mean, it's been a challenge, right? I mean, entrepreneurship is not easy, and this even makes it harder, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a different time, right? Like 2020, I joke around like when January 1st, 2021 comes, we just need to like reboot and go back to January 1st, 2020, right? And do this all over again.
Right.
But it's definitely a challenge. A lot of stuff going on. There's always something to do, right? And I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Like you have this, like we'll see, you have 100 things to do, right? You have a thing on your number 20 list. Number 20 is not 10 priority, so it's on your list like 3 months. Like, man, I got to do this. Well, I can't do it yet. It's not priority, right? And it's like kind of bugs you, right? Because on the list, but it's not important to do, right? So there's always something to do.
Yeah, totally. So since you're an HR professional, I'm interested in what you have to say about this. So what do you see that leaders are doing really well right now?
So what they're doing really well, I think they're actually like caring for their people, showing empathy. They're putting themselves in other people's shoes. Like, hey, John Brown, he's working remotely, and he has to be a teacher, babysitter, blah blah blah. And also subject too, like everyone talks about remote work. No one said remote work, and also, oh, by the way, be a babysitter. Oh, by the way, be a teacher. Oh, by the way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So no one's really actually doing remote work. They do remote work and a whole lot of other stuff too, right? I think most part companies are like being sympathetic, empathetic to that for the most part, I think, which is good.
That's great. What do you recommend that companies can set up to support their remote employees?
So I'll say first, you got to have some kind of, I don't know, I won't call it a test, but some kind of method to see if they even can handle remote work, right? And communication has to be with the race. Like if you're the manager, you can't send a text message or call your people at 2 in the morning, right, or 6 in the morning or afternoon. Like you have to some kind of schedule. Like for example, if you're a worker has 2 kids at elementary school, maybe they have to like do class for the teachers from 1 to 3 every day. Well, maybe you shouldn't call or contact during that time, right? And also, if you're an employee, if your boss sends you a message or whatever the case may be at 8, 9 in the morning, you should probably contact them back by the afternoon, right? Don't wait 2 or 3 days, right? So I think communication is key on both ends. And some people thrive on that, some people don't. And another thing too, I'll say, if someone's a bad manager, it doesn't matter the background, right? It could be remote, not remote, in person. If you're a bad manager, you're gonna be a bad manager, right? And probably remote's probably gonna even make it worse,
So it's interesting that you said that. The whole like you can't be texting people at 2 in the morning or 6 in the morning or whatever. Have you seen a rise in that among managers that have difficulty communicating?
I don't think so. I think everyone's good at it. Like for me, I'm real bad at that. So what I tell my people is like, hey, because I know I should save the draft, do other stuff, but I'll send text emails. So I'm being kind of a hypocrite here. But I tell my people do your notifications right. Set your notifications up so you don't get nothing from me whatever time, right? Because if I have an idea, I'm gonna send it to you, right? Mm-hmm. I know I should send drafts or whatever, but if I don't do it, then I'm gonna forget, right? So I tell my people, do your notifications right. I'm gonna give you a warning now, right?
So that it's off your mind and
yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. What else do you recommend during this time? I mean, I know as an INFP, INFJ, I am thriving during this time, right? I don't have to see anybody. What do you recommend to somebody who maybe isn't set up for this? How do you recommend a more extroverted manager or leader handles this?
I have several friends who are extra, and if they put the capital E in extrovert, and they're dying, right? It's killing them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for them, right? And even the social distancing, you can do stuff that's still not the same, right? Man, that's a tough question. I mean, Zoom, it's not the same. They need the person interactions, right? It's tough, right? That's a good one. I just say, you can do meetings, keep social distancing, but it's I don't want to say they gotta suck it up and figure it out, but it's tough for them, right? It's
yeah.
I don't have a good answer to that one.
Yeah, no, but it's good. It's something for all of us to figure out, and we, I don't know if Brian's still listening. He's an ENFP -T. So
I know one thing. When this is over, the extroverts are going to throw one hell of a party, aren't they?
True, so true. So tell us what you're a military veteran, and you help other military veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs. So talk a little bit about that. What are the specific needs that military entrepreneurs might have?
Yeah, so it's a nonprofit called Bunker Labs. It started back in, I believe, 2015 out of Chicago. And so the purpose was to help military veterans, military spouses, and military dependents start companies, right? Because the stats show back after World War II, 80% of veterans started companies. Now it's maybe 5 to 10%. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot of nonprofits and things how people, veterans start get jobs, mental health, really nothing to start a company, right? Because one thing I've been in the military, we're living in this bubble, right? We're still on base, we don't really network, If we network, we transition other veterans. I was talking with someone the other day, when you transition, you go network, there's 40 other veterans in the room with you, really how they can help you, right? So just doing introductions and basic stuff that you don't know, you don't know, how do you pick a logo? How do you pick your name? Now you pick a business name, you need a CEO.com.io. It doesn't no good to have a company called, the best HR in the world, and someone has it on Facebook already, right? So those kind of things, and just do introductions, and basically the basics we're trying to do. And so I believe we're in 30 states now. I want to say 45 cities. I'm probably that wrong. And a good thing too, we have a partnership with WeWork called Veterans in Residence. And we're in 25 cities, and WeWork gives 8 veteran entrepreneurs free space for 6 months.
Nice.
So I run the one who's in Seattle. And another difference about us too, for the people who know what YC Combinator Techstars is, they the same model, right? You go in there, you got to have a certain amount of traction. You go there, you work on your pitch, you fundraise, and you work on your product. It's the same thing over and over again. With us, it's all over the place, right? So we've had a marijuana app, nonprofits, We've had idea phases. Like in the cohort we have now, that I'm running now, we have a guy who wants to start a brewery, a data analytics company, a customer success company, and they're all at different angles, right? So it's a challenge to mentor all those people, right? So, but it's pretty good, right? And big focus too is military spouses, right? Because most people don't know the military spouse unemployment rate is things like around 20-25%, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and even then, the underemployment is even worse, right? Because most military spouses have like college degrees, but they move around so much, and then they can't do things like that. So yeah, so a lot of good work on with them.
Is the unemployment rate because they move around, or is it?
Yeah, it is. Because most companies, like unfortunately, they're interviewing a military spouse. Oh, you have exactly what we need. Oh, you're gonna probably move in 2 years. I'm not gonna bring you on, right? Instead of thinking, hey, I can use her for 2 years and make my company better. They like, oh, she'll leave in 2 years, so I'm not gonna hire her. No. Like perfect example, when we were stationed in Vicenza, Italy for 2 years. And the grocery stores on military base called commissaries. So on the commissaries, they had the military people. So all the grocery baggers were military spouses and master's degrees. So I'm thinking, wow, yeah, that's how bad it was over there, right?
Wow,
so it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah. So what do you recommend for a military spouse then? What kind of job should they be looking for, or what kind of business could they start, knowing that they're going to be moving around?
I mean, virtual assistants, anything remotely, maybe bookkeeping, anything like that. I definitely recommend military spouses definitely start their own companies, right? Like, I one friend of mine, her name is Nicole Solis down in San Antonio. She started a company where she makes like ribbons and like arts and crafts stuff like that. I mean, there's lots of opportunities for them to do that,
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely a challenge for military spouses.
Yeah. No, I feel you. Wow. Okay, that's good to know. So military spouses,
definitely a lot of talent there. I could have stat right. I want to say like 80% of them have like at least a bachelor's degree, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's funny you say that. Like bagging groceries with a master's degree, right? Like a lot of my generation, we see that. We see like bartenders with master's degrees and stuff like that. So it sounds like military spouses are going through a very similar challenge with that. So you have a podcast, and I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what kinds of conversations you have on your podcast.
Yeah, so it's called the Jason Cavness Experience,
Mm-hmm.
and so I do a remote one like this right here. And that's like an hour and a half, and I also started to do like an in-person one for people in Seattle, right? That's been like 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, cool.
And so I talk to like small business owners, entrepreneurs, and interesting people. So I've been really trying to focus on interesting people. So a month ago, I talked to a guy named Quentin Morris. He's like a master violinist. Like he's played in front of Juilliard.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of that famous place in New York City where all the artists play at? I can't think of the name.
There are a couple. There's Carnegie Hall. There's
one. Yeah, he played there. So real famous. So I've had him on a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of VCs, and basically, I introduce them, read the bio, I let them talk about what they talk about, and I get questions from the bio and the LinkedIn, right? So pretty good conversation. Of course, I try to put the focus on them, to highlight what they're trying to do, right? So it's pretty fun. I mean, as you know, this is fun to meet a lot of great people. Sometimes the editing, the background stuff, maybe not so much fun, right? But this right here is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this is all about, is having great conversations, right? That's the reason to have a podcast.
Yeah, and there's a great lead generation too. Like I think I've done 150 podcasts so far, and 50 have said they'll help me like get customers and be customers later on, right? So this is a great marketing tool also, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And it's it's evergreen, so you can post it over and over again, right? So it never goes away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fantastic. So I love the idea of talking with people in Seattle and doing that in person. How has that shifted since the pandemic?
So I actually started after the pandemic, right? So of course a lot of people don't want to do it. So of course, I was able to, of course, the veterans register going on, I was able to get 6 people from them to talk on the podcast. I got some other people calling too. Of course, some people want us to wait until all the stuff is over. And of course, we just had the fires up here, so air quality was kind of bad, and all the stuff going, politically downtown Seattle is kind of bad too, right? So I've had to work with that too. But once again, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, once people get talking and they, of course, a lot of people don't, oh, I can't talk in front of the camera. What I can't do this. Once you get in there and tell them how easy it is, how natural it is, like sometimes you gotta like, hey, we've been doing this for 3 hours, right? We gotta slow down now, right? It's definitely been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you know, people love talking about themselves and, you know, showing off what they've been doing, accomplishing.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we're both giving them a way to do that.
Absolutely. I don't know anybody that doesn't love to talk about what they're doing right now, you know. And that's so in addition to the podcast and the business and everything, what else are you doing that you're excited about right now? You know, what do your days look like?
Man, that's a good question. It's a question. I mean, basically, like I do my best to run my calendar, not let my calendar run me. You know, so right now, my developer from San Francisco's up here for a couple weeks. I'm working with him, doing that kind of stuff. So part of also, I was telling you during the pre-talk, we got accepted a New York University Future Lab in New York City in Brooklyn, and so it's a year of free housing, free office space in Brooklyn. It's supposed to start this month, but I get delayed to March because there's other stuff going on.
Yeah.
So next Wednesday, I got to give a whole layout of my whole company, like, you know, the pitch deck, financials, all that kind of stuff. So I'm putting that together. And we just applied to YC Combinator Techstars, so putting that stuff together, you know, doing financials. We just set up a HubSpot, so trying to figure out HubSpot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty, you know, I'm not the greatest at social media. I think I do a good job on social media, right? Because we have like 40,000 followers across different platforms of social media. So we push our stuff on there all the time, like the podcast, different, you know, inspirational stuff. So just doing stuff like that. And then, you know, I always get, I get these 20 messages a day. Hey, can you help me find a job? Can you do that? Can you talk about this, you know? Like on October 14th, I'm doing a webinar on how small companies can hire people. It's a thing called Lift Fund out of Austin, Texas. I'm doing that. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on. And I'm actually going to San Antonio area next week for a month to stay with some relatives. So and they have like San Antonio Startup Week going during that time. So I'm take part in that. And me and my friend of mine, we're going to do a video series it's going to be a video series on how veterans can find remote jobs. We're doing that next month too. Just, you know, there's always something going on. Like people tell me, Jason, what do you do for fun? I work.
Yeah.
What are you doing this weekend? I work. You know, what are you doing on break? I work. You know?
Yeah. That's awesome. So when you do get here, if it is in person in March, we'll have to have a socially distanced coffee in person, and maybe we'll have a follow-up conversation on LinkedIn Live.
Yes.
That's fantastic. So and you will be in Brooklyn, actually quite close to me. So meeting up is not outside the realm of possibility. So, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was kind of disappointed to push it back because I was looking forward to living that New York City life.
Yeah. It's you know, it's changed quite a bit, but New York is still New York. You know, we're tough and we're resilient. So we're still here. New York is not dead.
Hey, so this is off the subject, but I remember seeing this, I think on Facebook somewhere, like how people say hello, like, you know, in Midwest say, how you doing? The South, hi y'all. New York City, they just walk by, don't say nothing.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I think part of that is because of, you know, just the sheer volume of people. Like if you were walking by somebody, you wouldn't say hi to them.
Yeah, no way. I mean, you would
right,
never
you know, you'd just be saying hi to everybody. But you know, we're not as rude as people, you know, as lots of people think. But I you know, I love New York, and I'm glad you're going to be here, and hope you do get to come. We have Steve here, who's also in Brooklyn. So I wonder where in Brooklyn he is. I'm in Bay Ridge. So awesome, cool. So what should I have asked you that I haven't asked you?
Oh man, that's a good question. I know we can talk about not a question, but like I have a theory on HR, right? So in my mind, there's old HR and new HR, right? Old HR, and we're trying to be new HR. Old HR is like, you know, the HR manager. Someone comes with a great idea. Hey, I have this great idea. Well, I don't have time to do that, right? Or to go to the HR manager. Hey, you know, this employee needs to talk to you, but they can't come until 5:30. Well, I leave work at 5. I don't know what to do for them, right? Or no stuff like that, you know. Or old HR. Hey, what's going on in marketing? I don't know. I don't work in marketing. I work in HR, right? Where new HR is more like, okay, like for example, you're working on a production plant. New HR is gonna walk around, talk to the workers, you know. There's always a new idea. Now compliance is important to new HR, but the answer isn't always no, right? Where old HR the answer is always no. Another good example too, like suppose you have an old HR, if you have an employee, your best employee you ever had, right? Like just great, like not even touch it, right? But they missed work for 3 days, you know where they're at. And there's a policy that says if someone misses work for 3 days, you fire them, no matter what, right? old HR like, okay, we got to fire to get rid of them, right? There's no,
Mhm.
new HR is like, okay, I know what the policy says, but can we at least figure out why this person missed work for 3 days? Like, they're in a car accident, like hospital, like, do we really want to get rid of our top producer over this, like, this BS rule, right?
Yeah.
And so I think unfortunately, I think there's a lot of HR people who are like, old HR, right? Follow the rules no matter what. You got to do it this way, But I think when you go to new HR, a lot of old HR, they're not with tech, they're actually scared of tech, they're still doing things the old way, and so we're trying to do the new HR, trying to get people to at least to the year 2000. At least I like to joke around and say, right, at least get to the year 2000, right?
I love that. I love that. So new HR is the way, and sounds like it's people first. So that's wonderful. How can people get in touch with you?
Yes, I'm everywhere. I like to say I'm everywhere except for Pinterest, right? So I'm either Jason Cavness or Cavness HR, on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the stuff. And also I also have a text community, and my text number is 830-400-5223. So just text me, ask me any kind of HR questions you want. Just connect with me on there, and I do my best to be responsive as best as I can.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a great conversation.
No, thank you. It was a lot of fun.